Welcome to 21st Sports. We're talking the Cleveland Browns at the Miami Dolphins in their Week 3 matchup played September 25th, 2016. And this game would end up going to overtime as regulation could not contain this one. And the Browns actually had a chance to win this one in the final moments, but it ended up going to overtime. And this was a battle of the winless, as somebody had to win this game and someone would remain winless by the end of it. But it all started off with Ryan Tannehill connecting with Devontae Parker for a 26-yard touchdown. That made it 7-0 Miami over Cleveland. That would be the score after one. Then in the second quarter, the Browns got on the board with a 46-yard field goal by Cody Parkey that made it 7-3. And then an interception run back 27 yards for the touchdown by Brian Body Calhoun, and that would make it 10-7 as the Browns took the lead for the first time in this game. But then Andrew Franks tied it up with a 37-yard field goal at 10 apiece. But right before halftime, Cody Parkey hit his second field goal of the game, this one from 48 yards out, and that made it 13-10 as the Browns were back in the lead before intermission. Then in the third quarter, Ryan Tannehill threw his second touchdown of the game. This one to Jarvis Landry, a 42-yard touchdown. And Miami was in the lead 17-13. That would be the only score in the third quarter. Then in the fourth quarter, Ryan Tannehill threw his third touchdown of the game. This one to Damian Williams, a 10-yard touchdown. And the Dolphins were now up by double digits with the score 24-13. But the Browns would come back. Terrell Pryor, a 3-yard touchdown run, as Pryor ran the ball, threw the ball, and he also caught the ball. It was Cody Kessler who had to start under centers. He was the third quarterback to be the starter for the Browns in 3 weeks, as this season is only in week 3. But Cody Kessler actually connected with Gary Barnidge for the 2-point conversion, and it was a 3-point game with the score Miami 24, Cleveland 21. Then with a little over 3 minutes still left to play in regulation, Cody Parkey hit a 38-yard field goal, and this game was tied at 24 apiece. And in the closing moments of regulation, Parkey had a chance to win the game, but he missed the field goal wide left, and we were headed to overtime. So then in overtime, after a pass to Jarvis Landry to set it up, Jay Ajayi runs in the touchdown, an 11-yard touchdown run, and that was all she wrote as the Dolphins get their first victory of the season as they walk away winners with a final score, Miami 30, Cleveland 24, in a game somebody had to win. Of course, it could have ended up tied. They were in overtime, but the Dolphins winning this one in overtime. And what a game, though, by Terrell Pryor, though. He was very productive for sure. As I said, he threw the ball, he ran the ball, and he caught the ball. Most prominently, he caught the ball as he was actually the game's leading receiver with 8 catches for 144 yards. But Ryan Tannehill for the Dolphins was 25 for 39, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And Cody Kessler, 21 for 33 for 244 yards. He didn't throw a touchdown or an interception for the Browns. Terrell Pryor was 3 for 5 for 35 yards passing. He also had 4 carries for 21 yards, and as I said, 8 receptions for 144 yards. The leading rusher in the game was Isaiah Crowell with 15 carries for 79 yards. Johnson actually had 10 carries for 69 yards as well. And for the Dolphins, Drake had 9 carries for 37 yards. Ajayi, who had the game winner in overtime, had 7 carries for 28 yards, including that game-winning touchdown, as I mentioned, in overtime. Jarvis Landry, who had set that one up with a nice catch, had 7 catches in the game for 120 yards, including a touchdown. Stills, 5 catches, 76 yards. And Parker, 3 catches for 51 yards, including a touchdown as well. And then we look at the defense in this game for Miami. Dominican Sue had 1.5 sacks. Alan Branch had a sack, and Cameron Wake had a sack as well. Jones had a half sack. And then Wake also had a forced fumble, and Howard had a forced fumble as well. And for Cleveland, Bodie Calhoun with an interception, and Lemonier had a sack and a forced fumble. I know I'm butchering the names. I apologize. Taylor, I can say that name correctly. He had an interception for Cleveland as well. We look at the first downs, 23 first downs for Miami, 21 for Cleveland. Both teams struggled on third down. 4 for 15 for the Browns, 26% conversion rate. Just 2 for 10 for the Dolphins, just 20%. But both teams put up a lot of yards, at least net yards. 430 for the Browns, 426 for the Dolphins. And we look at this game at the penalties. They really hurt Cleveland. 13 penalties for 91 yards. And for Miami, 8 penalties for 67 yards. The Browns actually had 3 fumbles in the game, but they only lost 1. They recovered 2. Miami had a fumble, which they did lose. Then we look at the red zone. 2 for 3 for the Dolphins, 66%. 1 for 3 for the Browns, just 33%. The Browns did, however, have the time of possession, 37 minutes and 22 seconds versus 29 minutes, 12 seconds. Of course, that extra time due to that they played overtime. And the Browns, they were running the ball. They were doing a good job at that. They almost came away with the victory on the road. They had a chance to win it, but victory slipped away from them, and the Dolphins were able to capitalize in overtime. And this is, again, a situation where teams with a culture of losing find ways to lose games, and teams with a culture of winning will find ways to win games. Although Miami hasn't been necessarily the winningest franchise lately, overall in the history of Miami, they are a winning franchise, whereas the Browns, they have been at the bottom of the league ever since their reincarnation. So things continue to be tough for Cleveland as they cannot find a way to win. And Miami finally gets in the win column with the victory in overtime. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Which plays and performances stuck out to you? Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and had a great weekend and enjoyed all the sports.